conviction in Illinois should be overturned. And the reason is they charged me for under a law that didn't exist when I committed the crimes, as they say.
Did this come up during the trial?
Yes, we raised this issue pre-trial, and it was denied. The government's position is that they admit that they applied a statute of limitations that did not exist at the time the conduct was allegedly committed, but they're saying we were permitted to extend it. It didn't harm him. It didn't violate what is known as the ex post facto clause. And our position is not so fast. The lawmakers, Congress, passed a law that was intended to apply prospectively. So when they extended the statute of limitations, they didn't say, oh, you can apply it to cases that existed or the conduct happened before this. But moving forward, we're going to extend the statute of limitations. So what we're saying is when they did that, they were not permitted to apply it to conduct that occurred in the 1990s. The government has to interpret these statutes as they were intended to be applied, and they're taking great liberties with it, and they did so in this case. The ends justifies the means type of thing, and I think the U.S. Supreme Court will be really interested because this isn't just an R. Kelly issue. This is all about, do we give the government the power to take liberties with statutes that were not intended to apply as they're applying them?
The U.S. Supreme Court is under attack in a very big way. President Biden is going to propose legislation to change the way, to change term limits, all sorts of things. There are people talking about packing the court. There are people who want Alito and Thomas removed. They are under fire right now. Do you think that politics will play a part in their decision on whether to hear the case? Because if they hear the case and if they overturn the conviction, there is going to be a torrent of criticism.
Sure, because it's R. Kelly, right? But I like the Supreme Court for this issue, frankly, because this Supreme Court seems to understand that we have a government that's run amok, that we have prosecutors who have run amok. They are taking extraordinary liberties with statutes that were never intended by Congress, exceeding their authority, essentially, in so many different ways. Now, I get it. This particular defendant, they may believe, shouldn't be the beneficiary of it. But again, there are much greater principles at stake. And I hope and I believe that the U.S. Supreme Court can ultimately, they understand what's at stake. And it's not just about R. Kelly, it's about everybody. And do we let the government continue to run amok in these federal prosecutions? Whoever